You
Thank you so
have
much.
this aura. You have that thing around you which gives very calming and soothing effect. Do you think like music has a? I always believe music is one of the therapies, and I recommend people. But you living it personally, do you think it is or you were always a calm child and you had this thing
I was
around
never a calm child.
you?
I was always
Okay.
trouble. I was never angry, but I was
Uh-huh.
very hyper. I was very curious, very shaitan.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think I was 3 years old or something when I figured out how to trick my mother in the afternoons. She'd put me to bed, I would crawl out of my cot. I mean, वो छोटा सा bed था मेरा. I would crawl out of it, walk outside, sneak outside, go under the gate, go onto the street, and spend the whole afternoon on the street. I was a barbarian. तो मेरा ये और मुझे पता था कि 1 घंटा ये करके फिर मुझे अंदर जाना है मतलब like I was very दो नंबर type but like I was quite like
Yeah.
but yeah I think it's right it's true I think music it's I mean आजकल हम लोग जब म्यूजिक को देखते हैं तो we look at it as a thing of like as basically as a main source of entertainment, something to groove to, have a good time, and usually we think about music vis-a-vis like groups. But
Yeah.
actually music का बहुत से cultures में
Hmm.
um, ज़्यादा रोल स्पिरिचुअल रहा है मतलब म्यूजिक के ओरिजिन्स हैं ही they're based around community living. More than that, it always had like a spiritual kind of self-connect kind of function. And I think that we see less of that kind of music or less like we see music as that, is not very, has not really been a part of the mainstream consciousness for the past 2-3 decades. But उसका असल तो यही मुझे फंक्शन लगता है एंड मेरी जिंदगी में तो I think music has really been a savior for me. Like, speaking psychologically, it really has. It's calmed me down and it's brought a lot of it's brought a lot of acceptance into my life. Yeah, it really is a form of therapy.
Yeah. So, the one more thing I have, like, since you are in a profession where you have reached your place, but I'm sure there must have been times when you wanted something, it didn't happen, or you gave your best, but still the result was not there. What was your coping mechanism? How did you cope up with that, and how did it affect you as a person?
I didn't cope with it very well initially, to be honest. I think we all have our share of disappointments and uncertainties.
Hmm.
Um, but I think somewhere, what's different in the field in creative fields, um, is that there is a lot of pressure with not really knowing what's at the end of the you could, for instance, if you were an actor, you could sign the biggest film, and you could give it your all, but you don't really know whether that will do well or not. And even if it does well, you don't know whether that will stay or not. So it was very difficult. And initially, I kept thinking, नहीं तो मुझे करना क्या है? Like, what is the training I have to get to be a thing? So I remember one day some person said to me, he said, there's no training. You'll become a star if you believe it and just go for it and all that. Which was great. Just project it. He said, Zev, just project that you're a star and you will be a star. And I was like, I don't know how to do that. So, that was very difficult for me to deal with. It was very uncertain. And many a times I went into this period of my life where I was very hard on myself. And sometimes I feel that I'm still not over that. तो ये काफी एक इंटरनल टर्मोइल मेरे अंदर था और उसकी वजह से इंटरनली भी मैं बहुत बदल गई. I became a very angry person. I became a very withdrawn person. I didn't meet my friends. I was very, I used to and I became a very busy person. Like, I was doing this and I was doing that and I was like, trying to really kind of be on top of things. it like pushed a weird sense of like ambition, which was coming from a niyat of like, I gotta make it. And you know, people really in our in our world, like this level or this kind of ambition is also really supported, but I found it to be very, very um, detrimental to my mental health. And you know, I felt, and I mean 2 or 3 years into that kind of, you know, being, I couldn't recognize myself anymore, and it was very difficult. And I think, but us waqt, you know, I remember there was this one time I'd come back from a long tour, and I just sat in my bed, and I was just like, you know, crying and just like praying to God, you know, like, where is the joy? You know, where is, if this is, I didn't choose this, like, you know, this chose me. So um you know, please bring the joy in it or take it away, you know. And it's interesting that soon after that I found my ustad. And you know, in our kind of tradition, finding an elder or finding an ustad is not just about finding someone who teaches you how to, like, you know, do the skill right, but they also teach you how to deal with the entire, like, deal with your inner world. It's a transformative experience. तो उसके बाद फिर मुझे, you know, जो मेरे उस्ताद ने बताया, उन्होंने कहा कि बेटा, you know, काम करना हमारा फर्ज है और हक हमारा ऊपर वाला देगा हमें, बाकी तुम चीजें सोचना बंद कर दो. And that to me was the most, it really put me at ease, you know. तो अब ऐसा है कि, you know, I do the work that speaks to me. I don't have shame. I'm not really, and it's interesting, Ruba, that the minute I stopped caring and running after things, it just kind of, things started happening.
Yeah.
So that's my little journey.
So no, like psychologically speaking, there is this thing that as much as you're thinking about something continuously, so it is giving you that anxiety and that, you know, thoughts that I have to do it. So you're occupied with those thoughts, which stops you from being productive. Actually, productivity that goes for a toss.
That's
So
right.
yeah, so that is what you did when he told you. Okay, then you started like getting it, and you calm down, and you're like, okay, ठीक है, चलो, let me make it a joy. एक financial aspect हर एक artist का होता है. जब ये uncertainty बहुत रहती है, they are very anxious about it. If everybody is not blessed with like घर में ठीक है, सब चल रहा है, and I'm following my passion. So were there points when you had to go through that also कि कैसे होगा, क्या होगा?
Sure. I mean, you know, mashallah, all of my other siblings are very financially stable. You know, they're doing their own thing, and absolutely, like, you know, I had, you know, when I was like studying in Mount Holyoke, and I was thinking, I always thought कि, you know, by इतने तक मैं अपनी गाड़ी लीज कर लूंगी, तब तक मेरा घर होगा, ये है इस तरह से. और you know, like ये, तो yeah, I mean, you know, the uncertainty of your financial you know, situation does bother you a lot. And sometimes that can be even more heightened if you come from privilege, because you never see yourself as a struggler in that situation, you know.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, though, yeah, I mean, there was a lot of anxiety, and sometimes there still is, and I'm just like, you know, like, why did I not do this? Why should I have done that campaign? Should I, you know, but like, you have to just talk yourself out of it, because the fact is that, you know, it really just is that simple, is that, you know, sometimes you can have, and I mean, like, वो जो, you know, बुजुर्ग कहते हैं ना कि आनी जानी चीज है ये, you know, and it really is, you know. And I guess, you know, as a creative person, you have to deal with these very, very, like, you know, deep truths quite early on in order to keep yourself grounded. तो ये है कि मतलब आपको अपने आप को रोकना पड़ता है to run after that, because you have to, you know, believe that what you're doing is important rather than what you're getting.
I really like that. Like, you know, you need to control yourself and Yeah, actually.